The craziness of the NFL offseason continues. Wow, Jamie. Teron Armstead to the Dolphins. Huge franchise-altering move.
Actually, have we done our Jamison Crowder emergency podcast yet?
No, I wasn't sure if we should do just Duke Johnson and then Jamison Crowder or combine them. But actually, getting Teron Armstead's a pretty big deal. But then you go and you acquire Tyreek Hill the next day for 5 picks. First, second, and fourth rounders this year, fourth and sixth rounders next year. No picks higher than 29th overall. That'll be the first round pick they give to the Chiefs this year. And the Dolphins signed Tyreek Hill to a 4-year deal worth $120 million. So that's an extension with $72.2 million guaranteed, according to Adam Schefter. Boy. All right, give me your immediate reaction here. And then I'm going to ask you to rank Juju Smith-Schuster versus Jaylen Waddle, since that's what everybody wants to know.
My immediate reaction is, it feels a little sad, because you're taking away one of the best pairings that we've had in the last, 4 or 5 years of Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. And even if, Mahomes gets a quality replacement, whether it's Juju or, now finally Mecole Hardman gets to fulfill his potential as the guy there. If it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who's rumored to be signing, if it's a rookie that they draft now in the first round, none of those guys are going to be what Tyreek Hill would have been in this offense for at least this season and probably the next couple of years. So, you downgrade Mahomes, you have to. You downgrade Tyreek Hill because of the quarterback downgrade. And it hurts Jaylen Waddle. So, it just feels like across the board, the top guys lose a little bit. Travis Kelce, not so much, because I don't think, you change his status. But the second-tier guys, they benefit in Kansas City. Again, whether it's Hardman or Juju or, whoever else they bring in, all those guys get a boost, clearly. But, you're taking away – you think about this. We went into the offseason with Davante Adams, potentially the number 1 receiver, Tyreek Hill, surefire top 5 guy, and now Adams, borderline top 5 guy, depending on how you view it, and Tyreek Hill, maybe borderline top 10 guy. I haven't really settled on where I'm going to rank him yet, but he's no longer in the top 5, and that's frustrating.
It is pretty interesting. There are so many angles to this trade in terms of fantasy, but when you talk about who you're taking in the first round, there was, as of a week ago, 5 top receivers that were, I don't know if they were consensus, but pretty close in some order: Adams, Kupp, Chase, Jefferson, Hill. It's probably a big 3 now, right?
I still think Adams and Hill have value, but in the first round, yes, I think you're only going to see those 3 guys, barring something crazy happening in the next week or the NFL draft. But I think it's, and I know we did draft yesterday, PPR draft yesterday. I think Tyreek Hill was a first round pick, but Jamar Chase was not. I know Chase was definitely the second round, and so
he was 13th, but he could have, right? No, he's 14th.
Tyreek?
I'll look it up now. No, Jamar Chase.
Chase was.
I had a late pick, and I was debating.
Chase was 15th.
15th. And this is the thing. What I'm saying is, if you have a late pick and you're deciding between a running back and a wide receiver, I think this makes you more likely to take one of the big 3, because they are now in a smaller tier, and they might have an even bigger edge over the position without Tyreek Hill and paired with Patrick Mahomes, without Davante Adams paired with Aaron Rodgers. Kupp, Chase, Jefferson on paper may have gained value just in terms of, they're just that much better than the rest of the position now. It's not a big 5, it's a big 3. So maybe if you're considering who's a back end of the first round running back, Joe Mixon versus one of those 3. It's not going to be Kupp. He'll go off the board. But Joe Mixon versus Jefferson or Chase, I feel like this maybe changes things. It makes you go wide receiver more than running back now, just because wide receiver has been weakened at the top. Do you agree?
Yeah, I guess the only counter to that would be, how the draft is unfolding, because if you're 11, 12, and both receivers are still there, you could conceivably hope that the guy after you, well, obviously not 12, but 11, leaves one. So,
all right, let's say you're 8th. Let's say you're 8th and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, if you're torn on Mixon, who knows where Javonte ends up with any competition. Najee may fall a little bit. McCaffrey, who knows, depending on your league. Kamara, if there's a suspension. Dalvin Cook is clearly losing some steam for some reason. So if you're staring at that group, and if you want to take it a step further, Nick Chubb, Antonio Gibson, those guys, you might be better off just taking the receiver and taking the running back that falls back to you.
Okay, so now to the rankings here. Where's Tyreek Hill?
So when I first looked at it, I've unfortunately been stuck in a chair doing video stuff for, when I say unfortunately, just in terms of my rankings, but I've been stuck in this chair, so I haven't got a chance. I didn't bring my computer with me upstairs. So I was just kind of eyeballing it. And initially I thought 8th, which would put him behind the 3 that you mentioned. I still have Adams 4th ahead of Hill. And then it is Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, or no, excuse me, AJ Brown as my top 7 with Tyreek Hill in the mix there. And so I initially thought I'll put him behind AJ Brown. But I'm not sure. It's just, is Keenan Allen better in PPR with his quarterback still than Tyreek Hill, who, to me, Tyreek Hill feels like he's going to be, and this is clearly a good thing, a better version of Deebo Samuel, because I would imagine Mike McDaniel's going to do some similar things with him, right? Not necessarily the carries to the same level, but you remember Tyreek Hill's early part of his career, he was lining up in the backfield a lot, before he really understood how to play receiver and how the Chiefs really fully maximized how to use him. And so could they do some of those things in Miami, which I think makes some sense, to just be creative with them, so bubble screens, some more jet sweeps, some more of those things, not necessarily carries per se. So I think there'll be some of that creativity, but it's not Mahomes, and that's the thing you got to deal with. It's not Patrick Mahomes, it's not Andy Reid. So, you're asking a lot of Tua, who's, the only, I think, way to label him has been a bust. And you're asking a lot of Mike McDaniel as a first-time head coach to do those things with clearly a player who's a unicorn. And so it's just a matter of, I think, where your trust level comes in, comparing him to, the Bucs guys, assuming Chris Godwin is healthy, to T. Higgins.
Godwin, I feel like Godwin will move way up if he's good to go for training camp, good to go for
100%.
preseason, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think right now in a full PPR league, I would definitely take him over Tyreek Hill. Definitely.
Right now.
I'm sorry, with the caveat that they're both playing week 1, no setbacks.
Oh, for sure. If you told me right now both are healthy, I would take Godwin, yes.
And you're going to Tua Tagovailoa, who I think only Jared Goff averaged fewer air yards per pass attempt than Tua last year. I'll look that up right now. But the Armstead signing to a 5-year deal is a pretty big deal. It's going to go under the radar now. But they had arguably the worst offensive line. If you looked at the games, if you looked at the PFF ratings, the Dolphins' offensive line was terrible. Getting a franchise left tackle in there, let's hope he can stay healthy. Let's hope he's not at that point of his career where he's breaking down. I know he had some injury issues last year, but Teron Armstead coming over from the Saints to the Dolphins, it should really help. I mean, the Dolphins have gotten so much better in the last.
And Connor Williams, let's not forget his signing.
Yes. So they have gotten a lot better. All right. So Tyreek Hill, you're thinking somewhere around 8. We'll see how things shake out there. Mahomes, he was 1 or 2 for you.
He was 2. Both Dave and Heath had him 1. I had him 2.
And now?
So again, just eyeballing it, it really comes down to Brady and Wilson, because I'm going to take Justin Herbert ahead of him. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson ahead of him. And then it comes down to Brady, who was 5 for me. So it went originally Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Jackson, Brady 5, Russell Wilson 6. And so do I trust Patrick Mahomes with a receiving core of Juju, who he's never played with, Mecole Hardman, who has, clearly never lived up to the expectations? There is the thought, because he was visiting there, that Marquez Valdes-Scantling will be signed and could be the replacement. So factor that in for anybody listening to this not live. And then you have the best tight end in football plus Andy Reid. So does Mahomes, with that group, stand out more so than Brady or Wilson? I'll probably put him behind Brady, but ahead of Wilson right now. So he'll be 5th.
Okay. So he, just like Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams, we have a limited sample of Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill, and it's pretty good. I think it was 4 games in 2019, not including week 1, which was also a great week where Tyreek Hill left with an injury. I mean, if you do want to include that game, weeks 1, 2, and 3.
You're just adding that one?
I don't know. It depends what side of the Mahomes debate I want to be on. If you want to include that, I'll just look at his first 5 games. First 5 games of 2019. Tyreek Hill got hurt in week 1 and he missed the next 4. Patrick Mahomes scored 33, 40, 34, 18, and 21 fantasy points. In those last 2 games, he only threw 1 touchdown, but he threw for 315 and 321 yards in those 2 games. And in those 5 games, and I'm just looking at this now, I haven't done this before the show. I'm sorry about that. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. So he was outstanding with 3 monster games out of 5 without Tyreek Hill. And Rodgers also had some terrific performances without Devontae Adams. So I'm just throwing that out there, Jamie. The limited track record, the limited sample size is very good. It's a lot better, I would say, than what we've seen in a limited sample size of Tyreek Hill without Patrick Mahomes. And if you want some numbers on that, I mean, I think you would look Tua, by the way, he had the 4th lowest intended air yards per pass attempt last year. It was Roethlisberger, Andy Dalton, who qualified, and Goff were lower in terms of how far they threw per pass.
Yeah, I think some of that, though, is, Tua would be even on 3-step drops.
Sure.
On the ground, there's a guy in his face.
Sure. But he hasn't shown the ability to really throw the ball downfield yet at this level.
Yep.
I guess if there's 2 seasons that you want to look at with Tyreek Hill, it would be his second year in the league, which was with Alex Smith. And he was very good. He was 4th in non-PPR, 9th in PPR. It was a very weak year for a receiver, but it was 75 catches, almost 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, as still a young guy emerging. And then last year, even though Mahomes played, it was a very different offense where Mahomes was 25th, by the way, in air yards per pass attempt. They weren't throwing the ball downfield. So we got a little bit of a sample of what Tyreek Hill looked like as less of a downfield guy, much lower ADOT. And he had, once again, a great season. It wasn't typical Tyreek Hill. He was 7th per game in non-PPR, 7th in half PPR, 6th per game in full PPR. But he was really good. He just caught a ton of passes, but didn't make the explosive plays. I'm not sure if that translates at all, but all right, Jamie, I'm sorry. Is there anything you want to add to that? I'm just trying to just throwing out some stat.
No, it's all relevant. I was just quickly looking at our draft from yesterday, and I'm curious where you would take Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
So, assuming that he goes behind the group of Kupp, Jefferson, and Chase, so we start there. So here are the receivers that came off the board. This was our staff. So Frank Stanford is part of this, Jacob Gibbs, most of the voices that you hear, and some of our producers at HQ. So would you take Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown?
I would take A.J. Brown in non or half, and I would take Tyreek in full PPR.
Okay, so then you answered the question. He would be the 4th receiver off the board for you.
No, he would be maybe the 5th. Diggs would be 4th.
So, okay, so this is the order it went. It went after Chase, Jacob Gibbs took A.J. Brown, then Diggs, then Adams, then Diggs, then Lamb, and then Debo.
So if I were doing rankings, it would be the big 3, followed by Diggs, followed by probably Adams, followed by asterisks Chris Godwin, if healthy, and then Tyreek Hill would probably fall in around there.
So you take Hill over A.J. Brown?
In full PPR, because I don't think he's good. And that's the thing. Hill has actually not been a full PPR guy. I think he will be better in full PPR. I feel like that's what the Dolphins offense will be more suited to, like what we saw with Waddle last year.
But a different offense, though.
I know. I still don't think they're going to be a downfield throw super efficient. Like Mahomes, so incredibly efficient, so they didn't run that many plays because they had so many long touchdowns and things like that. And last year was very different, and you saw Tyreek Hill's targets and catches go way up. He won't hit those levels, but I feel like he'll profile more like that Tyreek Hill than the downfield guy, explosive play guy that he was in the previous 3 years. That's what I think. What do you think?
I think the numbers you gave in the Alex Smith season are very realistic, because if Mike McDaniel brings something from San Francisco, it's getting guys in space and yards after catch. And so that, I think, is where his numbers will be a little bit different. It's not going to be the intended air yards down the field. I think it's going to be more what he does with the ball in his hands. And that ability, which will maximize Tua's ability, where he doesn't have to sit there and, throw the ball 50 yards down the field and hope Tyreek Hill can run under it and make a play. Because I still don't think this offensive line is going to be tremendously great. I think it's going to take a significant stride, like you said, but there's still some holes there that could potentially be filled, or just better coaching and better scheme helps those guys play better. So, look, Tyreek has shared the field with the best tight end maybe in NFL history. but he's now has to share the field with a guy like Jaylen Waddle, just does different things, has a rapport and a history with Tua going back to college. And so, he's going to have to, change that a little bit, where Tua's safety valve was Jaylen Waddle last season. So if they keep Parker, it's a very good group.
Yeah, it is.
Ced Wilson's an underrated player. He's not a star. He's not going to be a good fantasy option, but he's a good player. And Mike Gesicki, we know, is, we've been waiting for somebody to unleash him, and maybe McDaniel is that type of guy. So it's a good group. It's a fast group. My God. Raheem Mostert, his 40 time was amazing. Waddle's 40 time, amazing. Tyreek Hill, we know, 4-3 guy. This team can run. They've put together a very nice, offensive unit here. And it's just a matter of, if Tua is good, they will be good. And if Tua stinks, well, then you know what you're dealing with. You're not drafting Tyreek Hill, I think, as a fantasy receiver based on what Tyreek Hill's capable of, because you kind of know what he's capable of. You said it. He's done it with Alex Smith.
He's awesome.
And he was amazing with Mahomes. So he'll be probably around the Alex Smith numbers if things go right for Tua. But if Tua stinks, it's a wasted second-round pick.
Yeah, Smith had a very good year that year, but he only threw about 4,000. Actually, he's pretty good because he's about 4,000 yards in 15 games that year. He averaged something like 265 passing yards per game. And before this trade, I don't think anybody would have projected that for Tua Tagovailoa. But Tyreek Hill just has that ability to make plays after the catch or before the catch. He's a one-man fantasy point machine, and we'll see where he falls. Okay, so we have a lot more to talk about.
He does benefit with J.C. Jackson leaving the division. That's a good thing for the Patriots.
Sure.
But he's got to face the Bills defense twice, which might not be great.
So you've got Travis Kelce. Is he the definitive number one now?
Yes.
Okay. These are teasers.
With 300 targets coming his way.
Juju Smith-Schuster versus Jaylen Waddle. I actually curious to see what you think about that. We'll talk about Tua. Would you take Tua over Justin Fields and Trey Lance and Trevor Lawrence? All those questions will be answered when we come back on Fantasy Football Today. So I always forget, Jamie, did you have Kelce ahead of Andrews?
Yes.
Okay. And now it's not even close, or what?
Now it's not close, no.
Okay. So
Kelce was a second-round pick for me. I may put him back in the first round.
Yeah, I'm looking at the draft we did yesterday. Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon. Would you take Kelce over any of them in a PPR league?
I would not take DeAndre Swift over Travis Kelce.
But you take Najee, Cook, and Mixon.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's a first-round pick now. And he's going to go ahead of Tyreek Hill, obviously, who went 11th. All right, we don't have to say much about Kelce. And obviously, Chiefs aren't done. There's an NFL draft coming. It's loaded in wide receivers. And maybe there's another move to be made.
There's a quarter of the teams in the NFL that do not have a first-round pick.
You're kidding me.
No.
Wow. Also, was reading the report, the Jets had a trade lined up for Tyreek Hill too. And I think they let Tyreek Hill decide where he wanted to go between Miami and the Jets.
Not a first-round pick, though, according to the package that Schefter and Rappaport tweeted.
But it couldn't have been that much lower than...
It was 3 seconds.
3 seconds. Okay. And then the highest pick they got was 29th from the Dolphins. So let's go to, Jaylen Waddle versus Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think it's a crazy question at this point. Who would you take?
To be honest with you, Adam, barring what the Chiefs do, I don't know if Juju's better than Mecole Hardman. I'm going to draft Juju ahead of Mecole Hardman. But, we know what Mecole Hardman's done when Tyreek Hill's been off the field. And if you go back to when they drafted him, that was the intent, was Hill maybe being suspended, and they were thinking about releasing him, if you go back to his off-field situation at the time. So could Hardman be the biggest winner in all of this? I want to see, because I think if they bring in Valdez-Scantling, that kind of tells you what they think of Hardman. But, we said this prior to last year, that every time Tyreek Hill missed games, Mecole Hardman was pretty special.
Was he, though? I didn't remember it being that way. So I wish I had more time to do that research. I thought it was more like sometimes Hardman, sometimes DeMarcus Robinson.
No, prior to last year.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take your word for that. But 78%, by the way, we have a poll on YouTube. 78% say Juju over... Wait, was it Juju over Hardman? Okay, I wanted Juju over Waddle. I want to see what people think about that. I think it'll probably be Waddle. But Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster's had a 1,400-yard season.
Oh, I mean,
You know?
I'm not going to rank Hardman over Juju, but again, if it stands as it is right now, so they don't get Valdez-Scantling and they, day 3 draft pick, just because they're backfilling their receiving core, then it certainly shows you what they think of Juju. But they had to have this conversation before they signed Juju. So was this the intent that they're going to replace him with Juju Smith-Schuster, who's not the same player? And what did we say when they signed Juju? When has he been at his best? When he's not been the lead guy. Now you could say, okay, Kelce's there, he's not the lead guy, but still. So I'm excited for Juju. He's a big winner in all this by far, but I still think I'm taking Jaylen Waddle.
It's a very limited sample of games without without Tyreek Hill, but Hardman. Here were the 4 games that Hill missed in 2019. Hardman had 4 for 61 and a touchdown on 6 targets, 2 for 97 and 1 on 5 targets, 2 for 9 on 5 targets, bad game there, and 4 for 79 on 6 targets. So he had 5 to 6 targets in all 4 games, and he came through with 16, 18, 1, and 11 PPR fantasy points. 3 good games out of 4. All right, we're getting a Juju Smith-Schuster versus Jaylen Waddle poll right now on YouTube. Please vote if you're watching. Let's talk about Waddle and where you're going to end up ranking him. He was top 12 in PPR last year. Not quite close to that in non-PPR. He was very catch heavy. But also one thing you should know, his numbers were dramatically better with Tua than they were with Jacoby Brissett, so he would have had an even better year if Tua hadn't gotten hurt. But 21 in non-PPR last year, 12th in PPR. Per game, 25th in non, 14th in PPR for Jaylen Waddle. All right, where are you going to rank Waddle at as of now?
Probably outside the top 24. Certainly non-PPR, because I think the touchdowns where he'll lose. PPR probably still in the top 24. I'll have to just, once I sit down and look at it. But, he's past Amari Cooper. He'll be behind Amari Cooper. He'll be behind Brandon Cooks and DeAndre Hopkins and certainly the Bucks guys. T. Higgins, he's behind him. It just comes to, like the Adam Thielen, Mike Williams group, Marquise Brown, Michael Pittman. I don't know if he's still better than those guys. That's the question you have to ask yourself, and I have to ask myself. I think, again, the rapport with Tua will matter. I think McDaniels, looking at Jaylen Waddle as a superstar, as he said prior to, or when he got the job, but he didn't have Tyreek Hill at the time. But there's only so many footballs to go around, and a team that you got to figure is still going to want to run the ball because that's what Mike McDaniel's coming from. So less targets probably in his direction. It's hard to say Jaylen Waddle is still a must-start fantasy receiver in a 2-receiver league.
Oh, man. Mike, did you say Mike Williams versus Waddle?
It's easy in non-PPR. PPR it's tougher. So Williams is probably a 75 catch guy, right? You would say maybe 85 at best in this offense.
Yeah.
And Waddle's coming off a 100 catch season, but that's with Devontae Parker missing half the season as well. So yeah, I'll probably still take Mike Williams.
Yeah, let's see if we have Waddle's at 73% of the vote over Juju Smith-Schuster, which makes a ton of sense. But
they won't be far off though.
Yeah, I mean, if you just try to do the math and the opportunity and all that, Waddle though, I just wonder if he's a superstar. Obviously, having the rookie season that he did, 5th overall pick, maybe 6th overall, 6th overall pick, and so got the pedigree. He can do so much more. He started to make more explosive plays late in the year. He wasn't making any of them in the first half of the season. Started to make some more later in the year. And maybe he could become a bargain if he just really emerges. It might be at the expense of Tyreek Hill, but he's damn good. Okay, and then anything else? How about Tua? Would you take Tua over those second-year quarterbacks, Fields, Lance, Lawrence?
Fields, yes, because I think Lance, with his legs, will make more plays. So it'll probably go. Like right now I have Derek Carr 13, Aaron Rodgers 14, Trey Lance 15, Fields 16. I think I might have had Tua 17 already. And so Tua will probably, I might put him ahead of Aaron Rodgers at this point. I mean, it's just crazy.
That's so tough. All right, one more poll.
It could be though, it could be where Tua is, again, you don't want to make direct parallels between a coach coming from one place to another. But Jimmy G had some pretty good weapons. Wasn't mobile. Tua was a little bit more mobile, but wasn't mobile. And wasn't a great fantasy quarterback. He had moments, but wasn't consistently good.
They ran the ball so well.
And I think that's what the Dolphins are going to do too.
You think so? I don't know that they can. Maybe they can. I guess they have had 2 offensive line upgrades. Why would you trade for Hill if you're going to be run heavy, though?
Because he's a difference-making player.
Yeah, he doesn't need the ball that much to make plays. They really, if Tua plays well, they are freaking loaded. You already talked about it, but because
their defense is good.
Yeah, with Waddle and Hill, you have 2 receivers who can make big plays. I know we didn't see that from Waddle so much last year, but in college, that's all he did.
All right, now this is going to sound stupid, but take the quarterbacks away. Which roster do you like better, Buffalo or Miami?
Buffalo or Miami? I thought you were going to say the Chiefs or Miami. Take the quarterbacks away. What roster do I like? I would say Buffalo.
I would too, but it got a lot closer today.
Oh, sure.
Or this week.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I wouldn't say Buffalo.
No, I'd say Buffalo, but it's close. Buffalo has a lot of guys like they just make plays. They're not stars. Like the Dolphins, probably a little bit splashier with some of the guys they have on their defensive side of the ball. But yeah, it's going to be a fun AFC East now.
What's Tre'Davious White? Is he back or is he a free agent? I think he's back.
White, I believe, is back. He's coming off an ACL tear, right?
Yeah, he's coming off ACL. Yeah, he signed a big contract extension in 2020. But honestly, I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but the fact, they had just also signed the best free agent offensive lineman. So when you compare their rosters, they now have, if he's right, a franchise left tackle. And it's
yes, and you assume there's probably another move coming in the draft for the offensive line as well.
Right. Do they have a first-round pick now?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. By the way, 60% for Rodgers over Tua. I'm going to take Rodgers. I almost don't feel like there's any scenario where I could take Tua over Rodgers. I
will probably have it where I move Tua ahead of Fields. But if the Packers don't do anything at receiver, barring, a day 2 pick in the draft and then a Julio Jones, Odell Beckham type of guy, I will take Lance over Rodgers too.
I feel so bad for Heath because every time, I don't care about the Tyreek thing for Heath, but every time we're supposed to do a Dynasty show, something just seems to derail all of our Dynasty talk, and it gets minimized within the show. So tomorrow is supposed to be a full-length Dynasty show, but how are we not going to be talking?
Well, I can tell you that I'm a Tyreek Hill Dynasty manager, and I don't love this.
Yeah.
And I would imagine the Jaylen Waddle Dynasty manager doesn't love this. And I would imagine the people that may have said that have made some lowball offers for Juju Smith-Schuster or even Mecole Hardman because thinking he might get cut and maybe gets a chance someplace else after, adding Juju. Those people are probably pretty happy right now. The Mahomes manager is not happy.
No.
The Tua manager is very happy.
I wonder how Patrick Mahomes himself is feeling.
He just goes back and looks at this $500 million and says,
are they gonna finish last in the division?
It would be crazy, wouldn't it?
I don't think they will.
All right, so offensively, who do you like better? Chiefs or Broncos? You want to say Broncos?
I do want to say Broncos. Yeah, I'll say the Broncos. Yeah,
Chargers or Chiefs?
Yeah, I'll rank the offenses Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders.
Why the Chiefs over the Raiders? Just because of the quarterback?
Yeah. How about you?
I mean, look, offensive line, I give the edge to the Chiefs. Quarterback, I give the edge to the Chiefs. The tight end equation is close. It's obviously favor the Chiefs, but, you can't downgrade Waller that much. And
okay,
huh?
Yeah, I forgot there's another element here. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead. Finish up.
No, everything else is the Raiders.
Do you think Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets a big boost here?
Big boost? I mean, it's hard to say, but, so far this offseason has been good for him.
You haven't
brought anybody in yet.
You're looking at Clyde versus Chase Edmonds, PPR.
I take Clyde, but they're almost back-to-back for me at this point. But, yeah, I mean, I probably don't have Clyde ranked high enough compared to what he should be able to do. I'll adjust that.
I feel like he's a steal right now, the way I've seen our drafts play out. He's not saying he's great, but to get the starting running back for any team would be great. And for it to be the Chiefs would also be good. And hopefully this gets him to catch a few more passes. All right, Jamie, thank you for this 30-minute bonus pod. We could go another 30, I'm sure, but we got another episode coming for you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. We will talk to you then.
Heath is happy right now.
Heath is not happy.
Because he said he was emotionally invested in the Juju Smith-Schuster signing because he's also a Juju guy. And now Tyreek Hill is gone.
I think this feels like this is a crazy thing to say. But the Chiefs have gone from winning the Super Bowl to losing the Super Bowl to losing in the AFC Championship game. And now they are going to lose Tyreek Hill. Kelce is getting up there in age. Who knows how long Andy Reid will be around to coach. I don't know. I mean, does it feel like the end of a dynasty that never really started? Did they already peak, even though they have Mahomes locked up forever? Probably not.
I tweeted, or I posted a poll. What's been more fun, the NFL season or the NFL offseason? And the offseason, obviously it's a little recency bias, but running away with it was like when I last looked, there was 800 votes. It was 82% in favor of offseason.
Well, that's stupid, Jamie, because we actually just had the greatest NFL season that we've ever
had. And we're having the greatest offseason as well.
That is true. It was an amazing season.
But somebody replied to it and said, the Chiefs playoff run was awesome because of the Bills game, but this is worse than losing to the Bengals in the championship game.
Yeah, this is really, it's not exactly franchise altering, but you cannot really replace Tyreek Hill.
Well, I mean, the Packers too. You're taking away, and look, you take a step back to have to pay a 28-year-old receiver $120 million, $72 million guaranteed. That hamstrings your franchise. That's we're ready to go win a Super Bowl move by the Dolphins, and I don't think they're ready to do that. Raiders, same thing. They made a move to get Devontae Adams, who's 29, franchise-altering financial situation. But the flip side of that is if you use the capital you get in return the right way, which you're trusting the Chiefs front office to do so, and let's keep in mind that they were the ones that got Patrick Mahomes, not the first overall pick. They were the ones that got Tyreek Hill, not a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that took a chance on Travis Kelce, made him into what he is. So this is a franchise that has found certainly diamonds in the rough and made them superstars. And so, to your point, Andy Reid, if he hangs it up, okay, maybe Eric Bieniemy is the same type of guy. To whatever degree there's a decline. But the hope would be, and this is what the Chiefs, I think, are banking on, Mahomes is going to make whoever's around him that much better. And we'll find out.
And they have so much draft capital, they could trade up and take any wide receiver they want. And perhaps the dynasty landscape gets shaken up and our drafts, get more fun if they trade up and take, their favorite wide receiver, and whichever rookie goes to the Chiefs in the first round. If that does happen, could be really exciting.
All right, let me give you another scenario real quick. Garrett Wilson to the Chiefs or Drake London to the Packers? Who are you taking first?
Wilson. How about you?
I'm taking Wilson first also, but what if it's flipped?
I really like Wilson. I can't really say I know much about London. Obviously I know him, but I think the Packers are the Packers can fall back on their two-headed monster running game. The Chiefs really can't. So I think
fall back on Travis Kelce though.
Sure. I just think that the Chiefs have to throw the ball, and the Chiefs are probably going to throw for 700 more yards than the Packers. So I'll take the guy who goes to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks. Thanks for your time. I like your shirt, by the way. It's a cool shirt.
Thank you. Express confidence.
Express really came through. Great stuff at Express.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the bonus.
Pants, though.
Yeah, no, I got my boxers from Express, though. See you later.